Now, I'm sure you remember when we were all children, many of us drew the sun with a smiley face when we had a pen and a piece of paper. It turns out we weren't exactly wrong. NASA has released an image showing the sun smiling. Now, in the image, which I'm sure we'll show you in a moment, you're going to see three distinct dark splotches, or patches, if you will. There it is there in the sun's atmosphere, resembling a pair of button eyes and a cheery triangular mouth. But I'm afraid I'm about to destroy that image of what the sun is smiling about, but it's actually not necessarily good news. Dr. Daniel Cunnama is an astronomer at the South African Astronomical Observatory. Very kind to join us this morning, Doctor. Good to have you back on eNCA. And the little bit I understand about this, while it looks cute, it looks funny, coronal holes are nothing to laugh about. Good morning. Why is it so serious, even though you and the sun are both smiling?
Good morning. Thank you for having me on. Yes, no. So basically, what it is it's an ejection off the surface of the sun. So that's why it appears black. It's not actually black. It's just cold compared to the other areas of the sun. Still extremely hot, thousands of degrees. So there have been three coronal mass ejections. The sun has blown off three sections of its surface. And if we can see the coronal mass ejections, that means they're heading our way. And that's the concern.
Why is that a concern? When we start hearing doctors and astronomers saying that there's massive ejections from the sun, I start having apocalyptic thoughts. Tell me it's not that dramatic, Doctor.
So this one isn't that dramatic, so we're quite fortunate. It's not a major solar flare, but essentially what it's doing is sending these extremely highly energetic particles streaming towards us. In the worst case scenario, if a very, very large one hits us, it could knock out all of our satellite communications, and in a very extreme example, could even knock out the power grids. But this one, not a major one, so the best we can hope for is some beautiful aurora in the North Pole and South Pole.
Do you think we're going to be able to see that from where we are here in southern part of Africa, or are we going to miss that show?
No, unfortunately not. It would take a really extreme show of aurora for us to be able to see it from South Africa, sadly.
I was hoping. This seems like an unusual event, and that's where I was going next, Doctor. Is this unusual, or is it just because we've all picked up on it now because it looks like a smiley face that we're talking about it? But is this fairly common in your world, or is this quite unusual?
Yeah, this is fairly common. For it to appear as a smiley face over Halloween, then that's pretty uncommon. But in general, these are going off all of the time in different sizes, some smaller, some bigger. And NASA and others are constantly monitoring this so that we can predict the space weather, because we'll get a couple of days' notice once we see it on the sun whether there's anything we need to be doing here on Earth.
Well, I was about to ask, even if you were to pick this up in 2-3 days' time, Dr. Cunnama, what could we really do? Let's, for example, imagine that this, I'm just sort of playing devil's advocate here, let's say this did concern you as an astronomer and as a doctor. What could we do about it anyway, if it were a problem? Luckily it's not, but if it were, what really could we do anyway?
Well, I guess you basically just need to prepare for a potential blackout in communications and a potential blackout in power. We're well accustomed to that. But, you just need to inform people, maybe stock up on a little bit of food and water because communications are going to be down for a little while. We will be able to get them up fairly quickly, but there's a chance we'd lose some communication satellites in the process.
Oh, luckily, that's not what's going to be happening in a case like this as well. Do we expect any changes to weather patterns? I know you're talking more from an electronic side. If it were a problem, it could affect our electronics and satellites, but lower level downs, if you will. Could we see, even in this instance, a change of weather patterns, an increase in temperature, anything like that?
No, so this is very much, it's called space weather, but it very much exists in space, and we are protected on Earth very, very well by our magnetic field. And that's actually why you get the aurora at the poles, because the solar flare hits our magnetic field, which then funnels it to the north and south poles, where the magnetic field comes into the Earth. So that's where these charged particles cascade into the Earth and cause these beautiful aurora. But our magnetic field kind of protects us from any direct impacts. And even then, it doesn't reach the surface per se. So no, we won't expect any changes or noticeable changes in what we call weather.
So it's not going to affect any average human being on the planet. It's going to, I'm sure, be very exciting for yourself and other astrophysicists and those involved in space as well. Is this quite exciting to observe something like this, or is it sort of run-of-the-mill in your everyday job?
We're always excited about beautiful pictures. This is a great one. It's a great sort of learning tool. We've learned something else about the sun, and that's what we're always interested in as astronomers. And we have the opportunity to share it with the likes of you. So